Hello and welcome to the ColorWorkYarn podcast. My name is Allison. If you are a new viewer, welcome and thank you for checking out the podcast. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming back and I hope you enjoy the podcast as well. You can find me on Instagram as ColorWorkYarn and also on Ravelry as ColorWorkYarn. And we also have a podcast group on Ravelry. So the ColorWorkYarn podcast is the name of the group. I will link to all of these places down below for you to check out. And I also have show notes down below for you to look at any patterns I reference or anything like that. I'd also like to let you know that I have an Etsy shop where I sell my hand-dyed yarn. It is called ColorWorkYarn Co. So you may have noticed a theme. So getting right into it, I have a finished object that is part of the ColorWorkYarn Christmas knit along. So the hashtag we're using is CWChristmasCal. So I'll write that here so you can see that. And the first object that I have to show you was a work in progress last week, and it is so cute. I love it so much. It is the Tin Can Knits Flax Light Pullover, and this is my finished object. It has a little crease here. Oh, it's so adorable. This is for my nephew who will be 1 in January, but I'm not giving this to him until Christmas time, so he'll be near a 1-year-old size. So I made the 1 to 2 year size in the pattern. And if you've watched a couple episodes, or last episode, I talked about my trials and tribulations with this sweater. I originally started making this sweater in the wrong size. I started making the 6 to 12 month size and realized it when I was about halfway done with the body. So I had to do a lot of frogging on that project and it was quite frustrating and sad. But I ended up loving it even more. I dyed my own yarn for this project. This is the Oscar colorway. Oscar is the name of my nephew. I name my hand-dyed yarns after the people in my life. So I love the color and I love the size. Seems like it's really gonna work out obviously a lot better than the 6 to 12 month size that just was in no way going to fit him. But as far as the pattern goes, I absolutely love it. It's a top-down raglan, and then you get this really cute detail of a garter stitch, kind of a ridge on the sleeves, with a one by one rib on the cuff, on the bottom, and on the neckband. Now, I really enjoyed making this. It's a baby sweater, so it was a pretty quick project. I mean, 2 weeks ago I had just the neckband done and then really zoomed along to finish the rest of it. So I really can't wait to give this to him. He is so adorable. I think everybody should say that about their nephew, but I mean it. So I'm really excited and I can't wait to see him in this sweater. I will absolutely be posting pictures of him in this sweater to my Ravelry, so stay tuned for that. That is actually my only finished object this week. I was fairly monogamous trying to get this done. I originally was so frustrated. I had the body done and then got really frustrated and kind of put it to the side, and my knitting was in timeout, and then when I was ready to knit it again, I really wanted to finish it. So I'm really excited that this is done. It hasn't been blocked, but I'll probably wait until closer to Christmas time just so I don't have to reblock it again before I give it to him. So for now, it will remain unblocked in my bin of Christmas gifts. So I guess I will mention the knit along that's happening now. It is a Christmas knitting knit along. So this is gifts for other people. I really am motivated to get my Christmas knitting done early this year so that I'm not stressed to get everything done right before Christmas. Last year I was making things for people but didn't start my knitting until really way too close to Christmas. So I felt like I was just cranking out as many projects as I could. Most people got a hat because I just couldn't handle making too complicated of a project for people. So this year I really wanted to take my time and be able to knit something that I knew they would love, and preferably in a ColorWorkYarn Co. color that's named after them. So each one of my family members either already has a color named after them or will be getting one named after them for this Christmas. So that's very exciting. And then moving along to my works in progress. I have one WIP this week that I actually worked on. I have some other works in progress that I didn't really work on. My Puntilla sweater by Joji Locatelli is a little bit on hold. And then I also have a pair of socks that I'm working on that I did not touch in these last 2 weeks. So I won't bother showing you those projects because they are at the same point in which they were last podcast. But I will show you this project that I just started. It is the Waiting for Rain shawl by Sylvia, what's her last name? Sylvia McFadden. I love this shawl. If you have not seen this on Ravelry, you definitely should check it out. I think it's so beautiful. So I'll show you my progress on this guy. It is on the needles, so it's a little hard to see. And the color is actually looking a little more green than it is in real life. It's a little bit more of a blue aqua. So it doesn't look very exciting at this point because it's a lot of garter, but I will spread out the lace section. So this is a crescent shaped shawl, mostly in garter stitch, that has little inserts of short row lace sections, and it makes it so beautiful. I love this shawl, like I already mentioned, but I have gotten the first lace section done. So that is that. Lace tends to look terrible until you block it, so use your imagination, but it is a beautiful lace pattern. And it comes at the point in the pattern where you're about to get really bored of the garter stitch. So it's quite a nice change in the pattern, and it keeps it interesting. And I'm knitting this with Hedgehog Fibers sock yarn in the Sage colorway, which I love. I think it's so beautiful. It is 100%, no it isn't, it is 75% merino, 25% nylon, and my hair is attached to it. It's the trials and tribulations of curly hair. Anyway, so this is the Hedgehog Fibers yarn. This is actually a very subdued colorway for Hedgehog Fibers. I'm used to seeing their very bright colors and lots of speckles, but I just love it, and I think it's so perfect for the Waiting for Rain shawl. It's kind of water colored, so it just seems appropriate. And I'm also knitting them on my Haya Haya Sharps. No, I always say Sharps, it's not. It's the Haya Haya interchangeable set. So it's not the sharp tips, it's their regular tips. And I do have the short tips. And I think right now it's on the 24-inch cable, but as you can see, it's quite bunched. I need to switch to a longer cable. Just a word about these needles. I'm obsessed with them. I think they're such a great set of interchangeables. If you're not familiar with the needle, I'm holding the cable stable here, and then I'm able to twirl the tip without it coming loose from the join. I think that is a great design because it really allows you to have less stress on the cables, which or the cord that connects the tips. It allows you to have less stress, and they last longer that way, and also it's just better for your needle or for your knitting. It's a smoother join. I love them. I think they're great. I do almost all of my knitting on Hayahayas. So yeah, that's kind of that. I have made this shawl once before, and the pattern comes with the standard pattern in a solid color. And then also there's another PDF that comes with a pattern called the Hacking Waiting for Rain shawl. And it kind of gives you tips on how to, if you want to do 2 colors or as many colors as you want, where to put the stripes and how to figure that out, and if you want to add rows, and also if you want to do a picot bind off. Now when I did this shawl before, I heavily relied on the Hacking Waiting for Rain shawl pattern. You have to switch back and forth between them, but I heavily relied on that one. So I could do it in 2 colors, and I'll show you that, the finished shawl. It's quite large, so it's going to be hard to show you all of it, but this is the colors that I used. I've worn this shawl so many times and it needs to be blocked again, but I just wanted to show you the picot edging on that. And then I used Madeline Tosh yarn for this. I don't remember the colorways. It's on my Ravelry project page, which I will link to, but I used like a silvery white as the main color, and then a soft blue as the lace inserts. And I absolutely love this shawl. I get a lot of use out of it. With that being said, I'm definitely going to be doing my second one in just the solid hedgehog fibers, and I'm not going to be doing the picot binding off, so it'll be a straight bind off on the bottom. I haven't looked at the pattern to see if it is like your typical standard bind off, or if if Sylvia suggests using a stretchier bind off. I do know with the crescent shape shawl construction, you start at the top with very minimal stitches, and then you increase quickly, so it becomes long very quickly. So the bottom edge where you would bind off is quite a bit looser than the top. So the top 2 stitches are the beginning of each row. So they tend to become quite tight in all crescent shaped shawls. This is not unique to Waiting for Rain. And so anyway, I was mentioning that because I'm not sure that a stretchy bind off would be necessary, because the top is so tight that you're not going to need a lot of give on the bind off anyway. But I will check out the pattern when I get there. I tend to take each pattern line as it comes. Next, I will move on to acquisitions. I have purchased some yarn in the past couple of weeks. One of them you've already seen. It's the Hedgehog Fibers Sage colorway. This is what it looks like in the skein. That's a little more true to color this time. So that's really nice blues, and also like subtle hints of taupe in there. It would actually look really pretty with a taupe color, I think. So yes, I do love that a lot. It's a 90-10, so I was incorrect. It's 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon. I think I said 75-25. Sorry. Anyway, the Waiting for Rain shawl takes 2 skeins of yarn, so I got 2. And the other yarn that I have purchased is from Tuscan Knits. She's an indie dyer. Maria is her name, and she also has a podcast. And I think her yarn is gorgeous. I love her yarn so much. And every time she posts on Instagram, I have to buy that. I have to get that. And that being said, I don't have a ton of her yarn, but I just love it. Everything that of hers that I do have, I've really, really enjoyed. So I purchased her Kindred Spirits colorway. This is the Fife base, which is 100% superwash merino. And it is this gorgeous rosy blush color with, it's got very light speckling of like a chocolate brown. And there you can see some speckles there. It's quite subtle. I love her little tags. Kitty cat. My kitties are being quite well behaved. They actually are both right here and they are so cute. Sometime I'll introduce you to them, but they're sleeping, so let's leave it that way. Anyway, unrelated. Check out Maria's shop. I love her yarn so much. It's gorgeous. I'm thinking, I already have a project in mind for this yarn that requires a third skein in a different color, and I'm going to be using her Pigwidgeon colorway to pair with it. I think they look so nice together. And this is also the 100% superwash merino. It was originally going to be the tin can knit sweater that I showed earlier today, but I ended up needing more yarn than just this. So anyway, the pattern I have in mind for this is the Bumblebee shawl by, I have it written down. Who is this by? Verena Kors. It is beautiful. I love that shawl. It's another crescent shape. It's very long. When I look at it, I'm like, that's maybe a little bit too long for the kind of shawls I really enjoy wearing, but I'm gonna try it anyway. It looks like a gorgeous pattern. It's got great detailing, and I think it will look beautiful with these colors. I can't wait. Very, very excited. So those are my stash enhancement, acquisitions, whatever you'd like to call them. I will move along to some dream knitting. I mentioned the Bumblebee shawl. I'm really excited to start that. Honestly, I probably won't start that until I'm done with my Christmas knitting. I have a few more people to knit for. I definitely have quite a good start on the people that I'm knitting for. I have a couple of men that I want to knit for that I need ideas for. I have a hard time thinking of things to knit for them. I mean, my dad I will be knitting for. He's quite rustic. He, you know, wouldn't wear a shawl, like a men's shawl or anything like that. And last year I made him a hat. He requested a cabled hat with a brim. So actually I will link to that pattern. I can't think of what it's called at the moment, but it was actually a great pattern and includes a plastic like artist, what is that called? It's a canvas, but it's plastic. It's not a painting canvas. It's the, like you weave in and out of it. It's not called canvas. What would that be called? I can't think of the name of what that is, but it uses a hard piece of plastic that you cut out in the shape of it like a visor, that you then knit an extra long brim and then roll the brim over the plastic piece and sew the plastic piece into place. So it has this really nice effect of giving you a settled brim to a cable hat. So I made one of those for my dad and for my nephew. They match, which is kind of fun. This is my 14-year-old nephew, not the 1-year-old nephew. And so yeah, my dad really enjoyed that last year, but I don't know what I should make him this year. I've thought of maybe, there's a Brooklyn tweed scarf that looks pretty cool. I think it's called the binary scarf. There are two sizes, the scarf size and then the bigger, really kind of like blanket scarf. I'll be making the smaller size if I made that for my dad. So that's kind of on the back burner or in the back of my mind. I don't love to make scarves. I just don't really like the short back and forth row process of making scarves. So I'm not super excited about making that. I do like the product, and I think my dad would like it. But I'd love to hear your suggestions on what you knit for the men in your life. I'm a little bit stumped in terms of what I'll be making some men in my life. So I'd love to hear your suggestions. If you have any ideas, if you've made something for a man that they've really enjoyed. So I'd love to hear that. Some other dream knitting that I have in mind is a sweater. It's called the Journey Sweater by Alina Schneider, and it is very cool. It's heavily cabled. It's got this graphic diamond-shaped cable in the front. Like I said, it's heavily cabled, so there's lots of cables everywhere, and it looks really gorgeous. And I haven't made a whole lot of cabled projects, so I would love to do that sweater. It's pretty cool. So yeah, that's kind of it for dream knitting, and kind of it for all of my knitting chatter. I'd like to just finish up the episode with just a little bit of chat about what's going on in my life. If that doesn't interest you, then you can go ahead and click off. But yeah, so this past weekend, it was my grandmother's 85th birthday. So that's pretty impressive. She lives about 2 hours south of where I live. So my mother and I went down to see my grandma for her birthday. And my grandma still goes to the little church that she grew up in 85 years ago. So we went to church with her, and I think there were maybe 25 people there, and it's a very small little farming community. And I went there a lot as a child and sang there a lot as a child and growing up. And so I sang there again on Sunday, and it was really nice. I think my grandma really enjoyed it, and it was nice to see people that I knew as a child and just kind of get to catch up with them, but also to spend the day with my grandmother. It was a very special day, and she was telling me about how she really wanted to get a coat, like a winter coat, and she actually asked my mom to bring a JCPenney catalog for her to look at. And we don't have access to a JCPenney catalog, so we offered to help her look for one online. Now, my grandmother is not technologically inclined, so we helped her look at Amazon, and she found a coat that she liked. It was a down, like a puffer coat, but it was long, so it was like to the mid-calf area, and helped her pick a size and everything. And she was quite concerned that she would have to return it because it wouldn't fit. But we did get it on Amazon, and we used the Amazon Prime account, so it's free shipping and free returns. And so we looked at the size chart, of course, and everything was supposed to fit her. And then this was on a Sunday, and then on Tuesday I got a call. I was back home, and I got a call, and my grandmother said, the coat has arrived. I love it. It fits, and I can't believe how quickly it got here. So it was very, very sweet to help her find a coat that she liked, and also to get it to her via Amazon and the wonders of Amazon delivery. And the gift that I was going to give my grandmother was this nail polish. Now, this nail polish that she loves is an OPI nail polish that's been discontinued. But she doesn't paint her nails with any other color. She's almost out of it, and she's devastated that there is they don't make this polish anymore. Well, I was determined to find her a bottle of this polish. I found the OPI polish. I actually have it. This is the color. Don't get too excited about it because it's discontinued. But it's kind of a mauvey pink color with it's shimmery, which is what she likes so much about it. And so I found a bottle of it on jet.com, not sponsored, and ordered it, thought it was going to be here in time for her birthday, got it super excited, and then the next day I got an alert that said, due to low inventory, your order's been canceled. Perfect. So now it's her birthday weekend. I haven't found the polish yet. She's asked me if I've been able to find it. I'm like, kind of working on it. I find it on eBay. There's a seller on eBay who has this polish. I'm like, great, buy now. I will pay anything for this stupid polish. Found it, and it got delivered today. I'm so thrilled. I'm going to be giving this to my dear sweet grandmother, and she will be so happy and so content, but she better not run out of that, because probably not gonna be able to find any more. And then the last thing is my husband is away in Iceland now. He's there with his brother, and they're just doing this just for fun. It's not for work. They're just going there and renting a car. They're gonna drive all around the island and see the sights there. And selfishly, I have asked for him to bring me back some Icelandic yarn, obviously. So he has his sights set on the yarn store in Reykjavik, and I told him whatever he could pick, whatever he wanted to pick. I just wanted some yarn from Iceland, and I think he's excited. I think he's a little bit nervous because he asked me, well, what colors do you like? And I'm like, any color is fine. I just want some traditional Icelandic wool. I'm very excited. I usually knit with, worsted spun, superwash merino, softest of the soft. So I'd really like to get some woolen spun Icelandic yarn. It's the rustic, wonderful wool that's great for color work and cables and what have you. So I'm really excited. And I mean, I'm also excited for my husband to be in Iceland, and I hope he enjoys it, but I'm also very excited for him to return. All right, well, that kind of brings me to the end of it this week. I would love for you to check out the show notes below, and you feel free to comment on this video, find me on Instagram, find me on Ravelry. Really love to get the Ravelry group up and going, so say hi, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.